Hi everyone, welcome to Blue Heron Hill. I'm Sue, down in my seed starting area, which is in the basement. It's a little chilly right now. The furnace might kick on. I apologize if all that noise interferes, but we are ready to start some seeds. It's really gardening time right now. So why should you start seeds yourself? There are plenty in the nurseries and all of that. I mean, tons. Not right now, but closer to your actual gardening dates. When after your last frost has happened and your garden soil is all worked up and warmed up, that's the time that you can actually start growing in the garden. But for a lot of different reasons, you may want to start your own seeds. Number one, and on everybody's mind, is it's economical. You can buy a pack of seed for as low as, $1.99 or as high as $6. You decide. Another reason would be variety. You don't have to stick with the varieties that the big box store has. Oftentimes, they have varieties that are very general and not so specific maybe to your area. There is a variety for you. So that is another reason to start seeds. Now, is it easy? I think it's easy. So do you need a special seed starting mix? Yikes! New time gardeners are thinking, oh my goodness, this is going to get complicated. No, it's not really complicated. A seed starting mix is a mix of components that will help that seed germinate better. You say, well, can I use garden soil? Well, maybe so, but it's not ideal. Number one, this time of year, at least in my area, that ground is frozen. And there is no digging up garden soil to bring into the house and start seeds. Can you use potting soil? Well, that's another one. It's a little bit more controversial. Some people always do, and there's no harm in it. I find, though, that potting soil has a lot of chunks in it. There's a lot of debris and wood products that are actually very recognizable. So with a seed starting mix, we want something that is light and airy, fluffy. It's not going to hinder that root that seed pops out. It's going to have all the room that it needs to spread out. Now, seed starting mix has no nutrients in it. It is devoid of anything special that's going to help that seed grow. But that's no problem, because a seed within that seed, and nature has made it this way, within that seed contains everything that future plant needs to germinate and to grow and to start taking in light and producing, the photosynthetic process that it has. Everything in there, until perhaps about a week or two, until it gets its first true leaves. And at that point, it needs additional nutrients from its environment. And that would be us as gardeners at that point. Or if you transplanted it into a potting soil that had nutrients available for the plant. But seed starting mix is basically to help that seed get off to a fine start without any impediment to hinder it in its growth. As I said before, most nurseries and garden centers don't have any potting soil this time of year. So if you were lucky to buy it last fall on sale, which I did, and that's this big bag right here, that's a benefit. But your first time starting out right now at ground zero, step number one, let's make our own seed starting mix. If a seed doesn't need any of these additional nutritional ingredients, then why pay to have them put into a bag of mix, of seed starting mix or a potting soil mix? Seed doesn't need it, why pay for it? So I'll link in this corner up here. I have a short series, Biology for the Backyard Gardener, and you might want to take a look at that. It explains a few things. It gets a wee bit nerdy with some big fancy botanical words and stuff like that. But, you know, as a gardener, let's expand our horizons and know what we're talking about when we start growing our plants. So what's important with a seed starting mix? Let's start off with that. It's important that it retains moisture, because that's what the seed needs to germinate, it's moisture. And it also needs to be light and airy to avoid compaction of the soil and making it harder for that root. Although, you know, with seeds, and you know this, if you've ever had weeds growing in the cracks of your sidewalk, those seeds can put down a root right through just about anything. But as gardeners, we want to make it easy for our seeds. So there are 3 components that we like to put in a seed starting mix. One is peat moss or coco coir. Let me show you what those look like. This is peat moss. It's very fluffy, it's very dry. I'm not going to make too much of a mess with it, but it's very dry. This is coco coir. And there's no seed going to be able to go through this, that's for sure. So you have to add water to this, and it expands and increases its volume at least 6 times. And then that product is very light and fluffy, and we use that. Now, the difference between the two, in my mind, is that coco coir might be a little bit more sustainable. Peat, on the other hand, is Mother Nature forms peat over thousands of years. We get most of our peat from Canada, and I hate to steal that all from Canada. And it takes a long time to make peat bogs. But coco coir, on the other hand, is from, as it sounds, coconut. And this is the husks of the coconut seed. And that is all shredded and processed down and then compressed into this brick, as they call it. Now, there is a bit of a problem if you are going totally sustainable, is that the process to produce the coco coir could be an issue. There could be more of a carbon footprint for that. But I thought that there is a bit of a trade-off, so I go with the coco coir rather than the peat, which is our natural product that they have to mine from the earth, and we are going to run out of that. So right now, you can grow a coconut tree and get all that coconut fiber faster than you can rely on getting peat from the ground. So the next thing that we use is vermiculite. And I'm not going to pull this out because it is very airborne. As a matter of fact, when I mix up my seed starting mix, I always wear a mask. But when it's all together and it's mixed up with water, it forms a wonderful mix. So this is vermiculite. It is kind of an erosion of stone and rock that has, is gotten from the earth. Very prevalent. It's mined, and there are lots of areas in the United States where this is taken from. So that's that. And that also helps in moisture retention along with creating an airier environment. The next one is perlite. And this looks like those little styrofoam balls, but fortunately it's not. We don't want to use styrofoam in anything. It's a terrible product. It doesn't break down or anything like that. But perlite will aerate the soil. It helps with drainage and prevents compaction of your soil. So those three products are what we use, or most gardeners use, to make a soilless seed starting mix. Perfect for your seeds. They'll love it. I put in approximately 7 cups of very hot water into that one brick. And this seems to be a very nice consistency. Little damp, not too sopping wet, because you can see there is no accumulation of water on the bottom. Usually the ratio is anywhere from 6 to 8 parts of this substrate, either peat moss or coco coir, to 1 part of vermiculite and to perlite. Now, okay, there we go. Look at how light, fluffy this is. It doesn't really compact. It breaks apart. You squeeze, it just breaks apart. So that's what we're looking for. Now, this is my homemade mix. Let's open this bag and see what that looks like in comparison to this. Now here you can see that it looks pretty much the same. You can see the specks of perlite in here like this. Of course, you can't really see the vermiculite if there is any, but we still have some sticks in here, which kind of defeats the purpose. But let's see if they have an ingredients list on here. It says it's 80 to 90% sphagnum moss. Now that's about what we have here, about 80% of the coco coir in here. It also says perlite, which what we have, and limestone to adjust pH, and yucca extract. Okay, so it doesn't have the our little fluffy vermiculite here. Okay, so this still needs to be moisturized because peat moss is very, very dry. Now you can see, I can tell, I don't know if you can tell, it takes quite a while for peat moss to suck up the moisture that's needed. Coco coir sucks it up right away and holds it just like a peat moss would hold it for the roots to be able to readily avail themselves of moisture. So either one you use is fine. If you're looking for economy, there is an initial outlay of cost with this because you need coco coir and perlite and vermiculite. And this you can just buy plain. I can't remember how much I paid for this. It was on sale. You might ask, well, where do I get coco coir if garden stores don't have any of these products available? Never fear. The Amazonian Garden Center is always open for business. As a matter of fact, I had to buy more vermiculite because I used it up last year. I had plenty of perlite, I had plenty of coco coir, and when I was in the process of working this up into a video, I realized they didn't have any, so I had to go to that online store. But don't fear, it's there. Thanks for following along with me on this video. Make your own seed starting mix. Very, very easy just requires a little bit of investment in it, but it can last forever. If you don't use all of that seed starting mix in the spring when you are starting your seeds, bag it up, let it dry out. I would let it dry out, bag it up, save it for next year. So until the next time that we can go dig in the dirt, happy gardening. Bye.